Hello everyone, my name is Michael and I want to welcome you to Sovereign Gaming in Life Sims, the YouTube channel where I build worlds, lots, and share my thoughts on video games in the life simulation gaming space. Now listen here, this episode is going to be a little different from the others because we are indeed going back to edit all of the other lots that we did in Old Town here. So I have to make the intro just a little bit shorter, it has to be a little less whimsical, or at least what I think is whimsical. And we have to just kind of carry on with what we needed to do. In the last episode, we built the festival grounds, and it was a really long build. And towards the end of it, I was kind of mentioning that maybe we'd get a chance to also do another build for this episode. Well, the editing honestly took me far too long, and so that won't be possible, unfortunately. But I also did do some experimenting on the next set of lots that I do want to build that are near the campus, the government campus area, and I'll explain more a little bit on that. But when I was just kind of experimenting just to kind of get a general feel and layout of those lots, it really turned out that it was going to be something that deserved its own standalone episode there. I'll explain more towards the end of this episode here on what to expect next, but today we are indeed just going to edit all of the Old Town lots that we have been working on so far. The game plan for today's episode really begins with us placing the boardwalk lot from Roaring Heights into the build. The lot honestly really does all of the heavy lifting for me, and I just have to do some minor edits with that, so we will be doing that. But also, the game plan for today's episode really involves revisiting all of the other lots that we had built in Old Town, and we'll do it from reverse order as well. So after we place the boardwalk roller coaster lot, we'll start editing the festival grounds, and then we'll just kind of make our way to the consignment store and so on. I've got the list of what we'll be editing up on screen there, so that's really what we will be expecting to do here. And honestly, like, these edits, they take me, like I said, they took me a little longer than what I had originally planned. Some are going to be longer than others. Others are just like small tweaks here and there. Like, for example, I redo the kitchen in the French penthouse, and that's really just kind of it. That's all I wanted to change from that lot there. So yeah, some of these changes are going to be longer than others. Some are more extensive. Others are just like short little changes that I wish I had done. Now, the reason why I'm doing this episode is because this entire time, like, I've been rewatching the different lot builds and the different episodes, and I keep mentioning that I need to change this or I need to change that. So now that I've got more of a fresh perspective underhand here, I can certainly go back and just kind of make these final touches and details here before I consider these lots finished. And I felt that it was fitting to just kind of finish the Old Town neighborhood in this way. Let's get started by placing the boardwalk roller coaster lot from the Roaring Heights world. Now, if you're not familiar with Roaring Heights, it was a world that you can purchase from the Sims 3 store. It's an EA-made world, and in my opinion, it is one of the best worlds. In fact, it might even be my favorite world, and maybe someday I will review all of the custom Sims 3 worlds out there. But that is nowhere in the near future. Anyways, I'm just kind of getting distracted here. I just wanted to say that the Roaring Heights world, like, if you get the gold version, if I remember correctly, it comes with this roller coaster lot, and I have to say this roller coaster lot is really well done. Like, maybe I'll leave it up to you guys to determine whether you think it would be worth the money, but I think that the roller coaster lot itself is honestly really well made, and I didn't have to do a lot of editing when it came to actually editing it in the world, because it just kind of fit the Old Town vibe very well, and it also complemented the Old Town festival grounds as well really well. So I was very happy with the way that it was placed. I was really happy with the way that it was looking in the world. And yeah, I didn't really need to do much to it. I always designed like this specific corner of Sim City to accommodate both the festival grounds lot and also this one as well. The only thing that I really did add to this was I just edited a little bit of a section of it to fit the merry-go-round. That merry-go-round object did not come with Roaring Heights or the roller coaster lot. It came with the World of Wonder lot, which is that circus tent. venue that you can purchase again from the Sims 3 store. As you guys can tell, like I'm a big fan of the Sims 3 store. I think that a lot of their items are pretty well made. And yeah, so I decided to just kind of make a little bit of room for that. And you'll see me struggle on here a little bit as well, because I didn't realize that they used real walls as opposed to foundations to actually create the level difference there. So I kind of discovered that on the way. Like, I've edited this lot before to fit in a merry-go-round, but I completely forgot that they used real walls and not actual foundation walls, which, you know, is something that I need to start getting used to, because, you know, typically I would have used a foundation if I was to build this one from scratch. Roller coasters themselves, by the way, are very hard to actually build, and because I just didn't want to struggle with that, I decided that I just wanted to place this lot in the world and kind of call it a day. The only other thing that I really did is I added in a little spot for the food truck to appear. Now again, this food truck is a download from the mod The Sims, and it's one that is, I don't think it is working properly for me, but I have to place 2 more of these, if I remember correctly, in order for it to actually work properly. So hopefully when I do that, my game will actually recognize it as a proper food truck. If not, then whatever. I'm gonna figure out a fix from there. So yeah, that's why the food truck will be appearing there. Outside of those edits, I only really added in a couple of small details here and there to the boardwalk. Like I think I dropped in a coconut tree that came from Sunlit Tides. Since the Sunlit Tides trees didn't appear in the Create a World tool, I figured that I would just like add them into the lots here and there. So I just kind of wanted to add in one of those here where it actually kind of made sense when it borders that seawall that I created from the Create a World tool. Other than that, I just kind of dropped in a couple of arcade objects, like a Whack-A-Clown object that came with the World of Wonder venue from the Sims 3 store, and I just kind of made some small changes here and there. Like they're very much changes that I don't think are that noticeable if I'm going to be completely honest, but I felt that they were very necessary to actually have within this build, so I just kind of added them in. Now, like I keep mentioning, the boardwalk lot itself, it does all of the heavy lifting for me, so I really don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it, which is a relief, because having to build a roller coaster is a very difficult task to do, like I mentioned earlier, and I'm very relieved that the lot is built well enough for me to just kind of drop it in, make some small changes, and then just kind of keep it moving. So with that said, let's keep it moving. The next lot that I want to edit is literally just next door. It is indeed the festival grounds, and luckily there isn't a lot of edits that I want to make here. As you'll see on screen here, the very first edit that I want to make is one that has been kind of bothering me this entire time, and it is the fact that I kind of went overboard on this terrace overhang, or whatever you call it. I don't know if it would be technically considered an awning or a veranda, but those flowers have got to go. I was, I should have edited that one and just like taken off those extensive flowers there, but just like the small vegetation, I think it's called, the heather bush, if I remember correctly, was all that just needed to be laid out on there. So I do that for both the subway stop awning and also the overhang above the main stage as well. There are only a couple of other changes that I wanted to, other small changes that I wanted to make here as well, and that really just kind of brings us into the spring season. I just wanted to add in that wheelbarrow full of flowers there. I kind of like the idea that there are certain seasonal elements that can change throughout, because if you guys remember from the Festival Grounds episode, I did place like a wheelbarrow full of fall leaves and pumpkins and stuff, or I forget what else that particular item had, but it was a nice decorative item and I mentioned it in the video and I wanted to make sure it was placed in here. The other set of items that I kind of wanted to edit is the winter season as well. Like I mentioned in the video, winter is always a little barren, and that's because there aren't a whole lot of winter objects. Like the snow itself is really what players have the most to work with, like to build snowmen and snow igloos and stuff like that. So I wanted to just kind of add in some of that holiday spirit stuff in here as well. So I made sure to download the free holiday gift stuff and just to add it in quickly into here. Now, mind you, I did forget that I did forget about adding in some mistletoe in the entrances as you enter into the lot. But whatever, I'm just gonna let that one slide there. I'm not doing an edit on an edit episode. Or I might actually just edit in the mistletoe if I ever get a chance to upload this. Moving on though, like I did want to add in that snow globe. I just wanted to add in like a Christmas tree and also some presents as well, just to kind of give it that holiday feel. Personally, like you guys are more than welcome to play seasons however you like, but even even in real life, I'm not a huge fan of winter, and I don't even like playing winter in my games. So I usually put down the length of winter down to like 7 days if I'm ever playing, and then I put the rest of the other 3 seasons up to 21 days. But yeah, I'm not like a huge fan of winter, but I just still wanted it to be like sort of that winter feel to it, put in a little bit of a holiday flair, and just to kind of keep it moving like that. So again, like really small edits here into the festival grounds, and I was really happy with the way that it turned out after these edits. Yeah, again, I felt that I did a pretty good job with building the festival grounds and with building all of the other seasons, and that does include winter. I just wanted to add in some extra small details here and there, like that oversized snow globe. I mean, where else are you going to put that? Probably out in like a front yard in a suburban house, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. So yeah, that was really all that I wanted to edit with the festival grounds. I thought I did a pretty great job with that, so I didn't have to do a whole lot of editing with it. But yeah, it is time to move on now into the consignment store and into the consignment shops with Old Town Corner. So let's start editing there. By the way, I just want to mention, and I guess apologize for the screenshots in the festival grounds lot. A problem with trying to take screenshots there, like especially if you're in build mode, is that it makes all of the common objects invisible when you switch to a season, and then when you go into a live mode, like playing a household and all that, well, you can only take pictures of a particular season, and it always starts in summer. So I wasn't about to just like mess around with cheats and stuff with that. So in other words, I got a little lazy with those festival grounds screenshots, and I do apologize if it's just not representing the work in the best light. And with winter, you also have to wait for the snow to build up. So I was just like, I just didn't have the time for that. And yeah, I'm being lazy with that, and I'm not, and I'm apologizing, but yeah, it's probably the only lot where that'll ever occur. So yeah, I apologize, and I mean it. Okay, we are now in the consignment store, which is also known as Old Town Corner. And what's great about the consignment store, and if you watch that episode, is that I was really able to fit like 3 retail functions into one. We've got this cafe that I'm working on, and then there's also like a toy store, and also the actual consignment store itself, which I made into this nice vintage little shop. Now, the edits that I really wanted to make here only has to do with the cafe, so to speak, and that was really just to like clean up the style. I felt like I was doing a little too much with it in terms, like the color palette was wrong, and I really wanted to like lighten it up so that all of the greenery can really be the highlight. And it is kind of reminiscent of the vintage store next door, but I kind of do it in a different way. Like I use a different palette for the bricks, and I also use a different palette for the walls as well. So it's very light, it's very it's got a lot of white into it, and so like the inside of the cafe is really like the color picks up when it comes to the windows and the furniture itself, and same with the greenery too. Same thing can be said of like the outside, because the exterior is, you know, regulated by the historical committee, so they have to keep the exterior the same, and I didn't change any of the randomized chairs or tables. I felt like those were quirky enough, and those were fine enough to just kind of stay as they were, and I was happy to just kind of leave that alone. So the balcony, like the outdoor seating area, has been left unchanged. It's just really like the interior of the cafe that I changed and just tried to clean it up just a little bit here and there. The other thing that I decided to do on this lot is I decided to add in some ceilings, and you'll see that in the edits throughout here. Is that another thing that I kind of wanted to tackle was adding in some ceilings just where it made sense. I don't really work with ceilings a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I just find it to be unimportant to me. It's not something that I really care about because it's not something that I really notice when I'm playing the game. But I just kind of, I guess it just kind of caught my eye during these builds, so I decided to just kind of add them in and just to, you know, give myself that relief. And I decided not to like think too hard. I just made the ceilings of wood so that it would just kind of like match the floors and all of that. So yeah, tiny bit of ceiling work that you guys will see throughout each of these edits. But yeah, most of the edits for the Old Town Corner really came in the form of the cafe here and just kind of giving it a little refresh and just cleaning up the color palette a little bit there. Just as we finish up with looking at some of the final pictures of the cafe, I will go on to explain what is next on our list of things to edit. And it's actually one that's going to be a really quick edit, but something that I felt was necessary and one that I wanted to show you. And that was an edit to the fire hall. You see, I love that the fact that I built a little park slash plaza in between two of the building sets there, but I really just didn't like the park itself. And a big reason why I didn't like the park was actually because of those little turrets that I placed just kind of in the middle there. And what I didn't like about them is just that they block too much light, and I really wanted to let more light in, and I also wanted to add in a well as well. So yeah, that was a big goal of mine with this one, is just to kind of open it up a little more, make it feel a little more inviting, and, you know, allow the statue in the middle there to really be the focal point and the tallest point that I wanted it to be, and then to also just kind of add in that old well towards the back there. I again really wanted to convey that this is a place where Sims just kind of congregate in, and it's just very much like a casual little hangout spot for Sims to just kind of hang out in. Like, it would have been something that would have been protected by the Old Town Historical Neighborhood Society, or however that heritage group wants to name itself. Feel free to drop a comment with what you would prefer in the comment section below. But yeah, it would have been a place that would have been protected, and it would actually be very much a community meeting point, and I just kind of wanted to allow more light and to really embellish the sightlines that I really wanted to highlight within these small edits here. So I hope you guys. The Elixir shop, as we get to it, is honestly another example of an edit that just needed some small tweaks here and there. All I really wanted to do was add in some ceilings and add in a voodoo doll for the Elixir shop. There's no reason to really like overthink that one. So those are the small edits that I decided to make to the Elixir shop, and I just wanted to show that to you guys, that I didn't ignore it or anything of the sort. I think I might have mentioned that I wanted to edit some other things, but I changed my mind after watching that video recently. So yeah, this is it for the Elixir shop. Let's move on. So let's move on to the diner here. Now, something that has been bothering me at the back of my head with the diner is the fact that I placed like sort of like a mini junkyard at the end of the station. And I guess like technically it could make sense, seeing as how this diner is on a decommissioned streetcar station. However, I kind of feel like the Old Town community neighborhood would care way too much about their neighborhood just to allow like a junkyard to actually incur here. So I really didn't like the storytelling element in that regard. So I really just wanted to replace that portion of the diner lot here with something that is a lot more community friendly and a lot more community oriented. And I thought, like, what better way than to place a community garden in here? And it isn't just any kind of a community garden that I wanted to place. I wanted to place a sunken community garden. So in order to do that, all I really had to do was place some stairs and allow it to dip down in elevation. And then, as you'll see on screen, I kind of struggled with it a little bit. For some reason, the train tracks were giving me trouble, this and that. And I also wanted to use the testing cheats enable true to lower the walls to a height that I really wanted, just to kind of give it a feel that it's, you know, a lot more protected and that there's like some sort of a border along it. With the, oh, what are they called? With the tool that like allows you to create borders, I feel like those borders aren't tall enough and that half walls are too tall. So I decided to just use cheats and just to paint it as a wood and just to put one of those borders just on top of it, just to give it that extra texture there. But as you'll see on screen, the train tracks, of all things, which I think is weird, decided to give me like issues with it in terms of like not allowing me to place the walls, this and that. And I knew that all I really had to do was move those train tracks out of the way and then move them back once it was done. You see, some like stairs and walls, they have trouble going through objects, but you can place objects through stairs and walls without a problem. So that's usually like it usually boils down to your order of operations when building lots. If you are struggling trying to get like a certain look or feel and you know that an object is causing the issue, just try building the wall first or the stairs first and then placing the object through the stairs. You would have seen me use this strategy with the consignment store build as well, like with the Old Town Corner, because I had a lot of stairs that were conflicting with windows and shutters. So I just had to place those stairs first and then place in the windows and shutters. Sometimes I need to move objects on, other times I didn't. But with the diner here and with those train tracks, I absolutely needed it. So yeah, seeing as how like this diner is a tribute to W.C. Friendly, the saxophone player from Old Town, I just felt like it needed a little more TLC and that a little mini junkyard was just not going to cut it. By the way, just want to apologize for the screenshots with all of those spawners included in there. Again, because I'm not in live mode and because I really wanted these edits to be quick, I decided to just like take the screenshots with those spawners in there. So yeah, do apologize that they look ugly, but don't worry, this is an edit video, and yeah, things that get polished will they certainly function the way that they are meant to. So I'm really glad with that, and I'm really happy with the Sunken community garden that I placed in here as well. Now that we are well into the restaurant, like that hangout lot that I made from an old train station, which, you know, now that I think about it, is kind of confusing considering that the diner is in a decommissioned streetcar station, whereas this is in a decommissioned train station. But whatever, I mean, trains were always gonna have a very heavy presence in this world anyways, because of all the train tracks that I really put into it. But anyways, this build, like this edit, was certainly something that took me a lot longer just because there was a lot of configurations that I really needed to make. And also like the glass floor carpets that came with Into the Future also decided that they just didn't want to cooperate when I started moving them around. So yeah, that was kind of fun to deal with. But the reason why this needed such a significant edit was for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that the middle of the train station, as much as I love that glass floor that allows you to just kind of peer over the tracks, like it was just dominating the actual dining room space a little too much. And I just needed to add a little more action to it. I was very happy with the way that the tables were set because trains would pass by in the back. Theoretically, it won't actually happen in game, but theoretically they would pass by that you could see through the windows. So you know, as a diner being seated in the dining room, you can actually watch trains go by and all that. However, yeah, the rest of the dining room space was just really dominated by this glass floor, and I needed to change that. So I really wanted to add in another bar, and I was kind of reluctant to do this because when it comes to like adding in bars and mixology bars and all that, like it usually spawns an extra mixologist. And as much as I want this world to be huge and to be, you know, to be really built to some sort of a scale of a mini city, you know, forcing townies to spawn is not exactly something that I am looking to do. So when it comes to the placement of these mixology bars, I am keeping it in mind that it might actually spawn an actual bartender. So I just want to just want to let you guys know that I am conscious of what is going on and what the game mechanics are behind that. But yeah, I really like the way that the bar space turned out, just kind of in the middle here. It adds a little more action into the Old Town Station restaurant, and I was very happy with that. The other thing that I changed was I actually extended the kitchen and I changed the entryway into it. So I just kind of made the entryway a little smaller. I constructed the walls in such a way that it just really encourages a certain flow for people to actually be like encouraged to go into the dining room. So there's some engineering with that. And also like the kitchen, as much as I love the idea of having like this tiny kitchen produce the most amazing food in the city, it was still just like a little too small. And I also didn't like the fact that I completely did forget to put in a fridge. So I just gave it a walk-in fridge. So yeah, I was happy with the way that had turned out. I got a chance to expand the kitchen and to just kind of give the chefs like a little more breathing room there. And of course, I feel like I'm addicted to these wood oven stoves, or yeah, these wood fire ovens, as I've placed them in nearly every build that has had some sort of a food, it's like some sort of a food station incorporated with it. But don't worry, like, there are certain themes and objects that I will not use, or I will use less of going forward. I just wanted Old Town to have like a specific kind of look and feel to it. And also, this station is one that I did do some editing off camera to incorporate the actual subway station. So towards the end here, I'll make sure to give you guys like a proper screenshot of that, because I just had to change the entrance and all of that just to accommodate that metro subway station. So yeah, that about does it for the edits for the Old Town Station restaurant. I hope you guys enjoyed them, and I hope that you enjoy that the dining room is now actually properly activated in the middle there. It doesn't feel like such empty space anymore. The other culprit that really took a long time to actually edit the lot was actually the private venue build, also known as the Pink Flamingo. Now, what made this lot kind of difficult to actually work with? For one, it actually crashed on me one time when I was building it, but luckily that crash ended up actually making me improve the design. So, you know, a happy accident there. But the other reason is just that there were some restraints when it came to the actual structure of the building. It's always been a little bit of an awkward space, I'm not gonna lie, to work with this particular building structure. Now, I designed 4 of these buildings, 2 of them being apartment lots and then the other 2 being community lots. And even though like I really enjoy like the exterior of the building, I love that it is based off that iron rod building in the French Quarter of New Orleans, but you know, just with the way that I've built it and everything, it just, for some reason, I find it awkward to work with, and it shouldn't be that way just because it's a bunch of squares, but square floors on top of each other, but whatever. I still sort of struggled with it, and the first struggle that I really had was just kind of building a backstage area, because I couldn't build it any further back than the stage, and the stage was already backed up against the limit of the lot unless I wanted to extend that unless I wanted to extend that wall, but I didn't because it would have wrecked the continuity of the other 3 buildings. So I really had to figure out a way to get a backstage area to the actual stage. And the reason why I wanted to add that in is because this lot kind of feels a little bit empty without like trying to expand it a little more. And so what I ended up doing was I ended up doing a makeshift idea of having like a really narrow hallway that leads to a spiral staircase that leads upstairs to a backstage area. And I don't mind how it turned out. Like, I feel like in older buildings like this, where you might not necessarily have a backstage area, like I could see this actually legitimately happening. But I'm also like sort of reluctant at the same time to like say something like this. I feel like it's an easy cop-out. The other thing that I really needed to edit, and something that really wasn't sitting right with me with the Pink Flamingo, was the gambling area, like with all of the tables and such. For one, I missed the blackjack table, but I came to find out that I actually didn't have that one downloaded. So, thanks to some research, I was actually able to download it properly and get it into my game to work and all that. So I'm very thankful for that. And so yeah, I decided to make it more of a highlight on that second floor. That second floor really wasn't making a whole lot of sense to me. I had dancing going on, I put in a pool table, I really didn't like either of those things going on. I really wanted to just kind of drive home the message that you can overlook into a performance, just kind of from a distance, but at the same time, like you'd have to peer under the stairs and all that, but at the same time, you know, you go upstairs to actually gamble, and like I really tried to pay tribute to that gambling prohibition back in the day, and the alcohol prohibition and all of that. So I was really trying to pay tribute to that kind of history going forward, and I wanted it represented in the Pink Flamingo as this swinging jazz club that also had a like an underground gambling floor that you could actually get to. Now, do I think that a gambling level on the second floor is not very good if you're trying to keep it a secret? Of course, but who knows? Maybe this was an area that was kind of looked after by the cops and such, or frequented by the actual enforcers of the law. So who knows with that, right? I still wanted the ability to gamble and stuff. Speaking of gambling, I'm not actually going to have an official casino here, or at least I don't think I will. And the reason being for that is just that there's so many lots, so many community lots that I already have to build to encompass the entire franchise's expansion pack. Like Late Night alone adds in like 5 or 6 different community lots, and then you've also got other community lots and all that. And so I'm not going to have a standalone casino build, and I say that now, but like at the same time, maybe it could be incorporated into a resort build of some sort. I'm not too sure, but my plan going forward is just to kind of like sprinkle some gambling options throughout the city, just here and there, and a lot of those options will be present within a lot of the nightclubs and such. So this is a good example here. This private venue allows you to gamble, but I know that when I go to do the Fusion Lounge, that I'll also have some gambling options there as well. And that is a build like way far into the future, and I've got a really big idea for that one too. So yeah, like that's kind of my feelings on gambling, is that this isn't necessarily a Las Vegas ripoff, but at the same time, it is also, I also want it to be very present and very accessible to players throughout. My vision for the backstage area is that it is very much like located in an old heritage building, and the backstage area is really like the least taken care of area. And so I just kind of wanted to reflect that in the place of some shoddy couches, and then also just like doing like a small makeup room as well. Like, it would be a venue that would be respected by artists everywhere, but everybody complains about there being like a crappy green room that is also used for storage and like for stage props and all of that. So yeah, those choices were very conscious when I was doing this, and I also like the idea of having like a little bit of an overhang, like a catwalk on top of it as well, or not a catwalk, but a I don't even know what they're properly called, but I like the idea of placing some flooring on there that allows you to like hang stage props from the ceiling and all that. Like, you could do a lot with this stage space, but it's just like the green room just kind of sucks for performers and all of that. Except for, I guess, the makeup room. I mean, there's more than a lot of other like old heritage buildings have. So you know what? It could be okay there. Another thing that I also just kind of wanted to mention is that yes, I did end up placing another bar upstairs, and I know that I just griped about like having too many mixologists spawn within the city and such, but I just kind of felt like it wouldn't make sense if I didn't have some sort of a bar up here. And then as you'll see in the screenshots, as we finish up the edits here, the gambling stations just really look a lot cleaner. It looks a lot more functional. I like the way that the wayfinding is kind of placed in here, and it all stays on theme, being that Pink Flamingo theme. which is all like something that I think it really meshes really well together. I really enjoy the color palette that I chose for those slots, so I just kept the color palette the same throughout. I really had my doubts surrounding the color palette, but as soon as I put in like the fluorescent pink flamingo lights in, I knew it was the right choice to make, as it was a lot more subtle and it didn't read so much as pink as it did salmon in a lot of the shots for like the walls and stuff. So yeah, I was really glad with the color schemes that I used and with the edits that I made with this lot, and I'm calling it done from this point forward. The last lot that I really want to edit in Old Town before we move on to New Horizons is the French penthouse. Now the reason why this is the last one is because I really don't feel like I need to edit the other two lots, being the bakery, like Miss Lucille's bakery, and also the artist studio apartment. Actually, you know what? Like with the bakery, I actually just changed the floor in the kitchen to be like a yellow and white linoleum tile. But that really didn't warrant a whole video, it didn't warrant an explanation. And I also changed the ceilings, which kind of, you know, I'm really not keeping the same energy with Miss Lucille's bakery as I did with the elixir shop. But whatever, there's no footage and there's no pictures, but it was really small edits anyways. And I didn't touch anything when it came to the artist studio. I felt that the edits that I thought I was going to make in the video, when I went to go create it, like in that video, I might have mentioned a couple of edits, but then after rewatching it and looking at the lot again, I kind of disagreed with those edits and I really liked it the way it was. So I'm leaving it untouched. But back to the French penthouse here. As you can see on screen, I found a new source of inspiration, and I am kicking myself that I didn't find this source of inspiration while I was actually doing the lot, because the inspiration is like, I just searched up like French kitchen in Google Images and I found this beautiful like powder blue kitchen, and I thought that it would pair really well with the I think it's like the Edwardian set. It's from the Sims 3 store, and it really did pair well. It's a little finicky to actually play with. Like when you go to recolor your stuff, like that just seems to be the Edwardian kitchen sets thing, is that it just doesn't like to be recolored, but whatever. Yeah, I found this really great source of inspiration. I decided to just kind of follow through with it, and I pretty much used that same that new color palette throughout the resident kitchen, the industrial kitchen, and also in the spice kitchen as well. But there was one thing that I really needed to take care of first, and that was the fireplaces in here, because it was just really not doing me any favors. I didn't really like the look of them. I know that I really wanted to have like this old, like really old school thing where you actually have like proper fireplaces in your kitchen and all of that, but yeah, really didn't like it anymore, and I just decided to delete it, give myself that extra space of wall, and I'm so glad that I did, because you know, it changed the entire layout of the kitchen, and I really love the resident kitchen now. Whereas the other one was just like a little awkward. It was also like a little dark as well, but that's because there's no actual natural light coming into this kitchen. But yeah, I really love the layout of it now, and it is actually like a style, like the exact same color palette and style will be something that I will replicate in a proper mansion build. Because in a future build, like I'll do a mansion build based on like for the crumble bottoms and whatnot, like I've mentioned in the Corrida World series, and I'm definitely gonna like replicate this kitchen in that kind of a sense, like with an oversized island. Of course, the layout will be better because I'll have more control over the layout as opposed to just being stuck inside of a larger building, since it'll be a mansion. But yeah, I'm very excited to use this set again and to use the colors palette again as well, because there's a lot of stuff that I, you know, there's a lot more potential to this kind of a kitchen anyways. So yeah, I was very happy with the way that this kitchen was refreshed and refurbished, and I finally did add like a little cat litter to the mudroom as well. And that's really all that I needed to do when editing the Old Town lots. As you've seen me do throughout this video, like it was a much larger project than I had anticipated, so I never got to actually build anything new in this episode. but I really feel like it was necessary for me to just kind of finish what we started with and then just sort of move on from there. So I am sure that you're wondering where we do move on from here. Well, next on the list is indeed the government campus. And what that area is going to really encompass is the City Hall building, the police headquarters, and a library, and also a couple of other lots as well. But what's really next on our to-do list is, before we even get there, there's a couple of beach lots that I actually want to take care of just before we get into the government campus builds, because they're kind of on our way and I don't know where else I'm going to fit them when it comes to like the rest of this series. So there's that. So yeah, next up on the list is certainly going to be like more of a beach build, and more of a poolside club is specifically what's next on our to-do list here. And we're finally done Old Town. Like, that's a wrap on Old Town, folks. This neighborhood has honestly been beautiful. I've really enjoyed it. I love that French colonial architectural style inspired by the French Quarter of New Orleans. I think that at the end of the day, I did a pretty good job at it, and I hope you think that too, because well, I can really only live with with how I feel about it, I suppose. But yeah, I really enjoyed this Old Town build. I hope that you guys really enjoyed taking the journey on with me, and I'm very excited to actually finally use a new style and to build with a new style, and yeah, just to see where that'll take us in this adventure of SimCity. When building out SimCity, I've always had it in mind that this would just be a historical neighborhood that would have a very unique feel to it. And in order for it to have a unique feel, well, the architecture and the design has to really change throughout the rest of the city. And I'm very excited to share that with you guys, and to move on and to leave it be where it needs to be left. Now, with all of that said, if you think that there are any other edits that you would like me to make into Old Town and into some of the lots and all that, feel free to leave a comment with your suggestions below. I'd be very interested to see what you would have to think on that, if there are some design flaws that I have committed throughout this editing episode that you were just screaming at your screen hoping that I would fix. So yeah, feel free to drop that comment in the comment section below. I read everything, so feel free to do that. No, it will be read indeed. And maybe later on, sometime down the road, I'll do a whole editing series based on feedback. So who knows, right? Well, that's gonna about do it for today's episode. We've covered a lot. There was a lot to cover unexpectedly on my end, and yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening and for joining me on this journey of building out my own custom world here. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. I do appreciate you taking the time out your day to watch a video like mine, and I'm very glad that you have decided to just kind of hang out for a minute. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video where we cover new ground, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.